Okay, welcome back. We're in a little different venue today. We're in our podcast room or our video room here at the office. And we thought we'd do a little change up, but welcome back to According to Carlo. And I have an old friend and a special guest, Stacy Peereboom. Welcome, Stacy.
Thank you, Carlo. Thanks for inviting me.
You know, we go way back. I mean, I was actually in your North Service Road office when you were at Royal LePage working with Dan Cooper. I was in the office in 2000 to 2004. And so you were there working with Dan, and you had an incredibly successful career there. I remember, maybe if Dan's watching this, but I remember saying, like Stacy, Stacy's the one. Stacy is, without Stacy, Dan may not be Dan. Sorry, Dan. But we all
You were
know,
not the only one that said that.
we all know that, we all know that he's done very well.
Yeah.
But you were a special person in his team. And, I always asked my wife, because she was working in the office at the time, and you were an intriguing case because you were such a huge, the teen issue was sort of new back then. And Dan was sort of a pioneer on the team side. And you were also very, if I can say, very different in that, I found you fascinating that you were incredibly successful, doing extremely well, and you were working for a team. So tell us a little bit about the genesis of that. First of all, tell us a little bit when you got started and how you got involved in Dan's team at the beginning.
So I moved here. I grew up in Southern California, and I moved here in the early 90s. I was living in, went to UCLA, and I was living in Beverly Hills working at this really hot restaurant and having a blast, living my life. And I met this guy and followed him to Canada after 2 years of dating long distance and, looking for my fairy tale, and moved to Canada, moved to Toronto, moved to Oakville, and didn't know anybody, had this life. You run into high school friends all the time, people you grew up with, your family. I moved here and I knew nobody. And it was really lonely. It was really lonely. And he then started traveling over 200 days a year.
Wow.
And I became even more lonely thinking, what did I do? But I've always been a hard worker, always kind of followed dreams. And really the reason I got into real estate was I wanted to feel part of a community. I wanted to know people. I wanted to get to know people. I didn't know anybody. I mean, I remember I used to drive to Sherway just to walk around the mall, just to talk and meet people, right?
I love these stories, yeah.
So I moved here, and back then we had to take the course in school.
Yep.
So I went to Sheridan College and took the classes during the day, and then I worked
5 weeks.
5 weeks. Actually, I think it was a bit longer than that. I worked at the SkyDome for a brief period of time.
No kidding.
At the Hard Rock Cafe during the World Series.
Wow.
Which was super fun. But I was in school during the day, and I was working at night, and I had a husband who traveled all of the time, and I got into the business. I joined Bosley Real Estate. Because Chuck Parker was my teacher, and I met Malcolm McGilvery.
So downtown,
who I loved. So I was working downtown in an office with Jillian Cockcroft.
Wow.
And I remember all these ladies were walking shopping all day, and I thought, I gotta make some money. So I worked hard. I went to open houses, and that's when I ran into Dan at an open house on Birch Hill Lane. And he said, hey, come and join my team. So when we first started, it was just the two of us.
What year was that?
That was 1994.
Makes sense.
1994.
Okay.
So it was just him and I at Countrywide.
And yes, it was Countrywide.
At Countrywide.
Yeah, and he probably didn't even have admin assistants at the time.
No, it was just him and I. So it was great that I had a husband at the time who traveled, because I worked 24/7. That's
right.
That's all I did. So we kind of grew the team, and I really enjoyed it. I would drive around. I did my homework. So I didn't know anybody, so I would drive streets. I would learn street names. I would learn the schools. I learned all the parks because I thought I need to educate myself. It's not
Stace, this is
like
this is
I don't know.
yeah,
I don't
this
know
is the
this, right?
basics, and this is,
Yeah, basics.
and this is how you became who you became because you
Yeah,
learned
I learned.
and you took it so seriously. And I bet you I could open up an MLS book in those days, and you probably knew the street and you probably knew the house.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. To the point where I every weekend, and I still do, but every weekend I did open houses like Friday and Saturday, or I'd get myself prepared and I do open houses every Saturday, every Sunday. And then at the time we had the MLS book.
Yeah.
And so I'd wait for the MLS book to come out, and I had John and Mary who were looking for a house for $200,000, and I would
That was a big deal.
it was a big deal, but I would like when the book came out, I would spend the entire day photographing the pages from the MLS that suited. I had
Love it.
a list from Dan or from me. I had a list of people that were looking to buy a house. I'd photocopy and I put them in an envelope with my card and Dan's card, and I would go deliver it to their door. That's all I did, like so that they would then call me back to see the houses that they wanted to.
Yeah, love it.
So it was really like I needed to educate myself, and I took it really seriously.
Yeah. So if you were to talk to a brand new agent today, and I say, Stace, can you just talk to this person, please? Do me a favor. Tell her or him, what your advice is being brand new. What would you tell
Well, first of all, I would tell them maybe to find another career.
them? Okay, let's not be too honest.
No, seriously.
Let's not be too honest. Okay.
Well, and I would say what people said to me.
I get you.
That what people said is you probably won't earn money for the first year, so save your money and be prepared, not to make money right away. But I would say, like, learn your craft, learn the streets, learn the areas.
Product knowledge is
Product
so
knowledge,
important.
because we're so, it's great that we have all this technology now and that everything is available on MLS and you can look at all of these pictures and we've got great photography, but there's nothing like walking into the house yourself and looking at the layout and then, right? So I think it's really learn the business and take it seriously. I think
Because
people,
when you have the product knowledge and you have a conversation, if you're doing so many open houses,
right.
I think when someone walks in and they ask you about that listing and you go, oh yeah, that listing, yes, and that listing, yeah, and you talk about each one of them, they go, wow, this person really, knows their stuff.
Oh, I would first do my research wherever I was doing the open house, and I would still tell new agents to do that too. So if I'm doing an open house on Green Eagle, like in Fairway Hills, then I would want to know, I would have a list of everything for sale in Glen Abbey and everything that had sold in the last 3 months. So if somebody came in and they wanted to have a conversation with me, then I could also give them, like advice or give them the comps. Even if they had another agent, I wanted people to feel like I was a professional and I knew what I was talking
So
about.
first and foremost, know your product, know your areas, and know your product. I think that's amazing advice.
Yeah, and if you're a new agent, you're going to do open houses, you really need to know the area. You need to go preview the house. You need to know.
We just did an open house session.
Okay.
That's amazing. Back to the basics. We just spent, a couple hours on a training session and talking about how to do a proper open house. So, it's back to the basics, back to meeting people, and back to but having the knowledge, the product knowledge is so critical. It's one of the steps that we talk about.
Well, how often is someone going to ask you what school
Yes.
my kids go to in this area? And if you're sitting there and you don't know the answer,
Yes.
and if you can say, oh, it's not only St. Matthew's where your kid can go to high school at Abbey Park, but there's monasteries around the corner. Like it's knowing the neighborhood. And it's hard to know. There's so many, as Oakville's grown, and there's so
It's
many
very hard
and
to
there's
know
so
it
many
all,
new
but
neighborhoods. Like
yes.
I'm still driving up to the new areas and I don't necessarily know the streets, but I really think it's important. And a lot of agents
Just don't do that.
sadly don't do that.
So Stace, tell me, okay, in the last, how long have you been on your own now?
I've been on my own 8 years.
8 years. Okay. So, but let's go back a little longer. So
Mhm.
your last 10 or 20 years, how have things changed in
Mhm.
terms of, or have they changed in terms of maintaining and creating relationships with your clients, your existing clients, your new clients? Tell us a little bit about your modus operandi, maybe before you were on your own, and then now that you are on your own. Has it changed at all?
Well, it has. It has, because I have more time to nurture the people that know me, love me, trust me, the
Right.
people that are like I consider my clients. So a couple things I do. I send out a monthly newsletter that I have written and with information. I hope that it's interesting, and then follow who opens it. And then I
Electronically, you send it to them. Okay.
electronically,
Okay.
electronically. And then at least once a year at Christmas time, typically the beginning of December, I deliver a gift to my top probably 150, 200 clients. So something special and something from a local. I usually use somebody local
Right.
um, who's I don't know, like different
Sure.
kind of different ideas, and I'll hand deliver it typically a couple weeks before Christmas, thinking that a lot of people are going to go away, and if I'm putting something on their doorstep, that they'll get it before they go away on holidays. So, and I get whether they're going to buy or sell that year. It's people that are maybe in my pipeline, but people that I've known, who I've done business with, who have referred me, and I'll get notes. We have no intention of selling in the next couple of years, but we can't wait to see what you're gonna send us this year. And they might not be selling, but I get a call from their friend
100%.
who
So
who
what you're telling me
thinks
in
I'm
the
great.
last, I'm sure you did this 20 years ago and you do it today. Like it really has, that part of it hasn't changed is what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
Okay. So you're nurturing that
I'm
relationship.
nurturing it for
Yeah.
sure.
And you're creating
For
new ones and
sure.
nurturing those.
For sure.
And you know, that's something that sometimes gets lost. It's very basic, but you know, us veterans who've been doing this for a long time know that that still works and that's still critical to anyone's success. I mean, social media is there and the AI is there, but there's nothing like that part of the business.
So you want to I want to make them feel special and surprise them. I did something different this last year. Good friend of mine, her daughter is opening up her own baking business, so I had her make some beautiful apple crumble pies, and to maybe my top 20. I wouldn't say top 20, but to 20 clients, I delivered an apple pie right the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So
And I bet you if you stop doing this, you'd get calls.
I think I know. I
Because they
think
go,
so.
what happened?
Why didn't she bring us something?
I get calls from, you know, my wife would send out calendars.
Right.
And one couple of years, she was a little late. And I get calls from her clients who happen to know me say, can you ask your wife to send me that calendar? She forgot. I go,
Right.
she didn't forget. She's just a little late. So they notice.
They do notice. It's so funny that you said that, because I had one year where this client of mine listed with someone else, and I was like, oh man, he doesn't get a present this year. So I didn't deliver a gift in December, thinking, well, now he doesn't want to use me anymore. I don't know what I did wrong. And then his listing expired and it didn't sell. And didn't he call me to list his house? And then I felt
So bad that you
really bad that I didn't.
But that's when
that I
you
didn't
actually,
bring him
you know,
up.
for whoever's listening, that's when you realized the next time you're not going to let that happen.
Right.
Because send it to them anyway. Because that's even more, it makes more of an impact.
Right. Like,
If you
well, my
drop that-
agent didn't send me something,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
she did.
But
yeah.
but you do it every year.
I know.
So it would
I
have been
know.
normal,
I know.
right?
Well, there's this whole, like, am I soliciting somebody
Yes.
else's business? So there's that, and I am very ethical to my core.
But you're
so-
okay in that as a broker owner.
Okay.
I'll tell you you're okay because they were a client and you do it every year.
Okay.
So I think you'd be okay with that one.
I mean, I'm not writing a disclaimer like we would normally do when I'm dropping off a gift.
Yeah, not intended to solicit properties listed. Yeah, you may want to in that case, but other than that, you're
Okay,
probably
well,
pretty
thank
safe.
you.
You're probably
Okay.
pretty safe to do that next.
Okay.
Tell me what you do when you've made a deal. Someone's bought or sold. What do you do with, you know, I don't think you don't sound like a transactional person. You sound like a relationship person.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me what you do post sale, post purchase or post sale with your clients.
Well, because most of my clients are repeat clients, or then I'll deliver something nice to their house that's really more specific to them. I have a client who they bought a house with a pool. I knew that they didn't have they'd never had a pool before, so I got them special towels and some nice gifts that I brought. And then I just continue keep in contact
what you
with
do.
them, right? Sometimes it's like, oh, I'm gonna miss you now. We've been out looking at houses for the past year, and so let's stay in touch. And it's funny how people, well, don't take me off your list. Don't stop sending me
Yes.
listings and sales, because I'm still curious, and I'm gonna miss hearing from you too. So sometimes I have them on an automatic email when something comes up that what they're looking for, and sometimes I'll keep them on that list. Funny enough, they want
So
to
I
continue
like
hearing.
that personally. I like that. I'm not a big gift giver in terms of purchasers and sales,
Mhm.
but buyers and sellers. But the gift is your quality service,
Yeah,
and the gift is your relationship,
yeah,
and the gift is your outstanding level of service that you continue to give them, because that's really what people want. They're not looking for the gifts. They're not looking for the toys. They're looking for that outstanding service, and knowing that you've got their back.
yeah.
And I think if you maintain that relationship, that just goes on forever. It really
I
does.
think so too. And recently I had someone like so surprised that I brought them a gift. I mean, I earned a good commission, and I felt really honored that they used me, and that other friends had referred them to me, and I brought them a gift, and they said, oh my God, you got us this house. We're so happy. We couldn't have imagined
See, it's amazing.
finding something better.
And that's what they want.
Thank you so much. Like, they were shocked that I brought them something. To your point, I just felt like
Yeah,
I do it.
you felt you had an
I
obligation, but they didn't
I
think so.
right, and I do it just, that's my personality, like, I'm just generous. I would do that with a friend, so it's like showing up to someone's house without
Yeah.
a bottle of wine or some cookies or something. So
Yes.
I just, but you're right, I think they appreciate it. We assume that, oh, people expect that.
Correct. And they don't. They just want you to do, who do they get gifts from? When they go to the dentist and spend thousands of dollars fixing their
Right,
teeth, does the dentist give them a bottle of wine?
right. No, they
No.
get a toothbrush and some toothpaste.
So, but we feel this obligation to do one. But
I
people
know,
just want to be treated
I
properly
know.
and respectfully, and with good quality service. And they're so happy with that.
Yeah.
So, Stace, given how the world has changed and how we've progressed, and technology's really has a big influence in our business, tell me how you incorporate technology into that very personal business that you have.
It's a good question. I'm not super tech savvy, but I have my business partner Isla, who's
Yes.
really techie. She does all of our social media. I'm not 100% sold on the AI. I'm so, like I said, relationship based, and I really miss sitting across the table from people. Um, so I think there's a danger
For sure.
I think there's a danger in using that too much. I like to write my own words. Let me put it into Chat GBT and see how they're going to change it, and I'll be like, I would never say that, right?
Right.
Someone's going to know I would never say that. But I'm not that I'm a wordsmith, but I'm used to. I mean, I used to handwrite
Mhm.
my offers, right? We wrote them out. So I know, like, I know the clauses, pay the balance of the purchase price. Well, like, I can recite to you the clauses verbatim because I wrote them for so long. So, and I still like writing my own descriptions but damn, I did all of the advertising. I wrote all of that. So I don't,
So you're
I'm
not
not,
heavy in technology, but you use it enough to get
hmm,
to make yourself efficient
mm,
and to be current,
right.
but you don't depend on it.
I absolutely don't
Yeah.
depend on it. It's like the phone when you depend on it, and then all of a sudden your battery dies, and we're all in trouble. It's like I used to remember all the phone numbers, and now,
Yes.
right? Remember, we had to know our home number. Now I don't even know phone
We
number.
well, we used to know every brokerage's phone number,
Right,
right?
right, right.
It's
And
crazy.
now you just put it in your phone, and if you're somehow there's something wrong with your
Yeah.
phone, you're in trouble. So
Yeah. But the amazing thing is, look, we've been doing this for a long time, you and I. But you know what? We can still be successful
yeah,
because it's still part of the basics. And the technology, we can have people help us with technology. We can hire people to help us with technology. But at the end of the day, it just doesn't replace the personal relationship, which we constantly, we've said this 1,000 times, which we constantly nurture. You have to nurture. And that's where I think people, especially the younger agents today that just need to, and this is where I do a lot of coaching and mentoring with the younger agents. And they've come up in an education system that doesn't sort of promote that one-on-one, that relationship kind of thing that we did.
right.
We didn't have phones, obviously. We
Right.
didn't have cell phones. We didn't have all those things. So you go, yeah, you're old, and you talk about the past. But at the end of the day, if this business is about relationships, which it is, and no one's ever been able to show me that it's not. Okay, when it becomes not about relationships, then I'll give up.
Right.
But it still is. That we have to still go back to the basics.
Yeah.
And I find that the hardest thing for me to teach and coach and mentor people today is talk to your clients, right? Not just email them.
Right.
Sometimes you got to call them.
Right.
You can't just text them. Some people just want to be texted. That's fine. But they just don't like to be making the phone calls. And they don't like to be sitting in front of people. Listen, Stacey, how often did we never used to fax offers and then just walk away?
No.
We would go sit with the clients, sit with the buyer, sit with the seller.
We sat in our car. We
Yeah.
had six copies of the offer.
You know what they're saying out there? Oh, look at these two old folks talking
Right,
about
I
the
know.
old days.
Right.
But at the end of the day, but our clients love that.
Yeah.
So we can't really do it like that today, but we still have to incorporate some of that.
Although I recently, interestingly enough, I have a client who I sold her and her husband their house 15 years ago. And then recently, I just sold her townhouse. She's 83 and wants to move to the city near her kids. And I knew when an offer came in that she would be nervous. And DocuSign, she knows how to do DocuSign. She's super smart. She's doing some day trading. But I knew when the offer came in that she didn't want me to just DocuSign it to her. So I, like old school, took it to her house,
Got her to sign it.
printed it out. I read every clause because
Wow.
she had questions. And I didn't want to assume.
Even the pre-printed form?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I didn't want her to assume that and I asked her, would you like me to read these? These are pre-printed. I didn't read every word of the pre-printed form, but I explained what each clause was because I still remembered and I still did it. And I put the offer in front of her. I can read it upside down. I read but I wanted her to feel like she was understood, that she knew what she was signing, because there is that fear. We send it DocuSign and we just assume that they know what they're
Correct. What they're signing.
Right. And I knew that she wouldn't. So she was.
Yeah, because when you're on a
She was
phone,
correct.
we just hit sign. Are
Right.
we really reading the
Right.
pre-printed form?
And she said, oh, send it to me. And I don't have my glasses aren't great. I said, you know what?
I'm coming over.
I'm coming over. I'm going to print it. I'm going to sit with you. Now I had to go scan the offer back
What's old is new.
to myself because I had to write it out. But
Sometimes what's old is new.
Carla, it felt so good to do that. It really did, to sit at the table and do that again.
Yeah. Maybe some of the young people listening may think we're crazy, but
they probably, like I always, and I know it's a legal contract and I take it really seriously. And I think that that's the other danger about DocuSign is I think people, they're not understanding all of the clauses and they're not explaining them to their clients. It's fine. You're going to sign this in advance, but I still don't believe people know what they're doing.
Okay, so Stace, I asked you to coach. I've asked this before earlier in the session here, but I bring you a 25-year-old newer agent who loves social media, is really good at social media, better than you and I, of course. But you sit there and you go, okay, and I say, Stace, can you just talk to this person for me? Like my daughter or my child, and say, you're very successful in real estate. They're really good at social media, but can you bridge the gap and tell me what this person needs to know?
Well, I think probably the younger generation and maybe people our age too are hiding behind social media. You really need to get out and meet the public and be around people. So I would say get out and do open houses, like actually meet people. How else are they going to?
Because I think too much, social media is important, which I'm learning. In the last year and a half, I've had to learn social media.
Yeah.
It's important. It's got its value, but it's not the end all and be all. And it's not like someone just says, oh, I saw you on social media. Can you come sign? I'm going to sign a listing. Just come on over and I'll sign a listing. I'm not sure that's ever happened.
Right. No.
So you still have to be able to have the personality, have the knowledge that even if social media got you an appointment, you need to be able to close that deal.
You do.
And that's the difficult part. Getting someone to sign on the dotted line is the most difficult thing in our business.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? Social media might give you an opportunity, but if you're not knowing, if you're not knowledgeable, you're not personable, you don't have the personality disposition, you don't have the trustworthiness, you're just not going to get people to sign on the dotted line.
Yeah, trust is the biggest thing, right? And you need to get out there and be a people person. We're therapists, we're marriage counselors, we're many different things. So if they can't close a deal, if they can't communicate with people of all ages, they're not going to do any business.
So your advice to them would be, hey, get some communication skills, people skills, because you're going to need them.
Yeah, and get out there and yeah, absolutely do the things that that are going to cause you to meet other people.
Yeah. You've been doing this for a long time. What do you want when you're done a deal and you leave and they've signed up and they seem very happy, and then I were to walk in and say, what was that all about? How was your agent? What would you like them to say? Or what are you hoping that they say?
I mean, so many things. I guess the biggest compliment is if they will refer me to a friend, or like I'm now doing business.
That's the ultimate compliment.
That's the ultimate compliment. And I'm at a point in my career where their children are buying houses now. And I'm, I've watched their children grow, or maybe not their grandchildren yet, but
well, I can't.
But
I know where you're coming from.
that they trust me, really, that they trust me, and yeah, that I did a great job, and that they
it's the trust.
It's the
like you said, the ultimate compliment is the referral. So let's just finish up on that point. Do you actually ask for referrals, or is it even necessary?
I have a hard time doing that. It's something I've always had a hard time doing. Maybe it's not necessary, but I'm not great. That's probably the one thing I'm not great at asking them
for the
referral.
Okay, so you depend on them, but it's obviously your service is strong enough that you probably don't need to in most cases.
Well, there's always a way to improve. So if you ask me how could I improve my business, that would probably be
learning how to ask for a referral.
One thing I could do is asking for the business.
Right. Listen, that's not rare. A lot of us would have the same issues.
Yeah.
But when you service the heck out of people and you treat them right, you know what? Most times you don't even need to ask for it. So listen, Stace, thank you very much for coming in. This was fun. I love doing this. Talking, especially people that, when you and I have been around a little while, we've seen a lot. I spent the last 30 plus years in Oakville. I'm from Mississauga, so kind of the same thing, but I lived in Oakville the last 30 years. So, I know the market, I know the marketplace. I've seen you, I've watched you. Your success is fantastic.
Thank you.
You're like, it's not that common that someone has been around that long. A lot of people have come and gone since you and I have started. So it's a testament to you, and I want to thank you for sharing, because the people that are listening want to hear this stuff. And so thank you very much for coming. It was very pleasure having you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Carlo.